So I just want to say good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you if you're joining us live at 7 a.m. If you are interested in that link, it is in the material below this YouTube. And I just want to say welcome to week 12. Today's conversation is indeed transformational. For we are cultivating the seed of will today. The divine will of God, and aligning a will that has been separate from the will of God, a willfulness, and we're bringing it into alignment with divine will. And what I am sharing today is that absolutely nothing happens that is extraordinary in our lives or in our consciousness until we align our will with the will of God and affirm the desire that we are here to be as God created us, according to the will of God, which is for our happiness, for our joy. And so when we align with this, extraordinary things shift and happen in our consciousness and in our lives. And so I want to say thank you for being with us today as we move into our lesson. I just also want to invite you to like and share this information. And if you are interested in contributing to Unity Naples, we welcome your generosity and your gifts. And that information is below as well. So here we go. We'll jump into the material now. Thank you. Was calling me forth, like a vision calling me forth. At that time, it was like the God-shaped hole within me that I was trying to fill with everything other than God and thoughts of God, and it wasn't working. And so I knew that my way wasn't working, so there was some humility and a willingness to look for something else. And I found myself going to 12-step meetings based upon the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And nothing there felt good. I was so resistant, yet I was there. I took my body there, but there was so much resistance. But one thing spoke to me. And what spoke to me was what was called the 3rd step prayer. And it goes like this, and I just invite you to listen to it with me. It says this: God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power. Thy love and thy way of life, may I do thy will always. And I prayed that prayer every day, and I still do. I love this prayer because what it is saying is that I offer myself. I offer all of me. I offer my thoughts, my best ideas, my highest intentions. I offer my areas of unforgiveness. I offer the areas of angst and unhappiness and misdirection or misguided behavior. I offer it all to God. I offer my emotions. I offer my career. I offer all of me upon that altar to do with me as God wills. And that as I do so, really what I'm saying is, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Like of my own self, I couldn't do any of what I'm doing today without surrendering a separate will. And that the shift and the change in the offering isn't for my own benefit per se, but it's to benefit others, and it's of God's power, God's love, God's light. Like that power within me goes before me and does the things that are appointed me to do. Now, I used to be afraid that God's will for me would be something I didn't like or want to do. So like in my mind, if I offered my will to God, maybe God would require I be an accountant or a banker or something like that, a financier, something that just completely would put me to sleep. But God's will for us is for our happiness, is for our joy and our joyfulness. God's will for us is a divine idea to extend the good, the holy, and the beautiful in, through, and as us. So wouldn't it make sense that it would be something that would bring us joy, and that would be something that would speak to our hearts? And so a trust comes forth where we just trust in this higher will. And so I wanted to share that little bit of a personal story and why I believe that nothing extraordinary happens in our lives, but most importantly in our consciousness, until we are willing to merge the free will that we have with the will of God. And when that merges and marries and becomes seamlessly one, extraordinary things happen in, through, and as our lives. And it comes through commitment and willingness. And so I want to turn to the reading now from Keeping a True Lent, Keep a True Lent, Day 12, Will. And it says this, that the will is the executive power of the mind. The commandments of Jesus teaches the Father's will, God's will. Those who keep them are therefore at one with the will of God. It is possible for you to get very close to the kingdom of heaven by doing good works and surrendering to Spirit the various faculties of mind. So we've been studying the faculties of mind, like love, like wisdom, like understanding. So surrendering those to Spirit, the various faculties of mind, but we can never fully enter into and abide in heaven or divine harmony. So he's defining heaven as divine harmony. I define it as the realm of ever-expanding good, without surrendering all that makes up the personality, of which the will is the center. Now, placing the personality upon the altar doesn't obliterate the personality. It makes it sacred, so that the personality, which is like the body, the vehicle through which we have this experience, becomes surrendered and useful to Spirit. The very aspects of your personality that you may love are the very gifts, when offered to God, make you the best communicator for the gift that you are to share, to pour forth and through, to share with creation. So the will may be said to be the man, the person, the being, because it is the directive power that determines character formation. When we will the will of God to be done, we form spiritual character. So when we offer our will to God, it clarifies our character. It aligns and forms our spiritual character. It requalifies it. The use of the regenerate will, so it makes us new, it regenerates us, is for the sole purpose of spiritual unfoldment. So if you have stated that your sole purpose in this experience of life is your spiritual growth, development, and unfoldment, if you are willing to claim that the only relationship of value is your relationship with God, and thereby everything else just falls into alignment, then we have this possibility of, behold, I make all things new in our lives. This regenerative power is within us to shape shift what has been into something new. This is a powerful concept, and it's completely consistent with what our topic has been. So when the will of us adheres to wisdom faithfully and carries out in its works the plans that are idealized in wisdom, it creates in us a consciousness of harmony and peace. When we're willing to surrender a separate will, it leads to harmony and peace. And to the degree and to the extent that we're willing to fully surrender it is the degree to which absolute peace and harmony washes over us. Spirit breathes into such an individual continually the necessary inspiration and knowledge to give superior understanding. Really, what we're practicing is divine order. Remember the divine mind, the divine idea, and then the expression. And the expression is harmony. The expression is peace. It washes over us. I bring the divine will to bear in my consciousness by understanding, by appropriating, by partaking universal wisdom, by affirming not my will, but thine be done. This is an utterance directly attributed to Jesus. So yesterday we talked about Jesus being in the temple as an adolescent, as a boy. And he said to his mother and father, "Where else would I be but in God's house? Where else would you find me?" And in the adolescence of our ministry, in the adolescence of our journey, that where else would we find ourselves? Where else must we abide? Such that we may be in the maturity and the evolution of our ministry as Christ. And in this evolution, it is the requirement that we actually utter the words that Jesus uttered later in his ministry, right before he went into his masterful demonstration. He uttered the words, "Not my will, but thine." Not my separate will, not a will separate from the divine, but God's will be done. Into thine hands I commend my spirit. And the demonstration was not about death and suffering, and I think that's where we get hung up. We think that we're saying, God's will must be for us to suffer. Absolutely not. Because in the mastery of Jesus' ministry, he chose his demonstration. He projected himself that we may see, that the body may cease to be in the way we thought it was, the body of affairs, the body, the physical, emotional, mental body may shift and change, but the life and the evidence of life is eternal, is everlasting. We can project another body, as Jesus has and continues to do. And the power of placing our will upon the altar by saying, "Not my will, but thine," and taking that breath and allowing the rush of that divine inspiration to wash over us and guide us for more life, for more beauty, joy, is transformational. God is potential, unformed will. We are God's will manifest. I now link my will with the principle of divine force in order to develop superior executive capacity. After this manner, I am swiftly bringing forth the faculties. It washes over us. It's swift. And the shift, when we align, when we harmonize with it, it harmonizes with us and has full sway in extraordinary ways in our lives. That under the slow action of mortality would take ages to develop. Our toiling in the realm of matter will take lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. But when we can release that and surrender our will, a will separate, a will that believes that our salvation is in form, then something swiftly washes over, shifts, transforms, and regenerates us. And take a pause and a breath with me. The affirmation is, the will of God is uppermost in my consciousness, and I am glorified in my understanding. When we unify with the will of God, when we unify in this way, some may fear that we will disappear, that what makes me me will disappear. And I'm here to say that what makes you you will actually and finally have the freedom to actually fully express. There is no loss in our pathway, only gain. And of our own self, we do nothing. And this is how and why we can say that when we're fully in this alignment, all glory to God. All glory to the I am consciousness, all glory to the Christ presence of our being. And so I just, I feel compelled to just conclude right now in this space, in this place, this conversation. And I invite you to continue with this connection, continue to partake of what we've discussed today, of the material. There's the beautiful scripture reading of John chapter 1, verse 1 through 18. I invite you to partake of that today. And to partake of the affirmations that my will and God's will are one. And so let us close with a prayer. I'm actually going to close with a reading from the Way of Mastery. Because this is the journey that we're on, and it's in the very beginning, and I just invite you to listen to this as a closing prayer. This is Jesus speaking to us. I promise you this. If you become wholly committed to awakening from the dream you have dreamt, since the stars first began to appear in the heavens, and if your one desire is to be only what God created, then lay at the altar of the heart with every breath, everything you think you know, everything you think you need, and look lovingly upon every place that fear has made a home in your mind, and allow correction to come. It will come. Regardless of how you experience it, it will come. And the day and the moment will arise, and all of your pain and fear and suffering will have vanished, like a wind that pushes the foam of the wave away, revealing the clarity of the ocean beneath you. You will literally feel throughout your being that there never was a dream. Some memories might remain with you, and you will know that somewhere you may have dreamt a dream or had a thought of wondering what it would be like to be other than the way God created you. But it will be such a faint echo that it will leave no trace upon you. In your heart, you will simply smile gently, regardless of the circumstances in which you find yourself. There will be peace from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes, and that peace will walk before you wherever you go. It will enter a room before you enter it with a body. And those who are becoming sensitive will wonder who has come into their place. And some will even say, "Behold, I believe Christ has come for dinner." And you will be that one. For that is who you are. Christ eternal. Christ in me, my hope and glory. My one and only desire is to be as God created me. I align my will with the will of God. And behold, I make all things new. Behold, the good, the holy, and the beautiful extends as Christ. As Christ. As Christ. I am. We are. And all is well. We go forth and multiply this consciousness this day. And it is good and very good. And I truly say, namaste. Namaste. What a fun day. I love you. Oh. Have a beautiful day.